Hello there and welcome back. You're probably still undecided on what to main in 11.1 and we're here to help you out by telling you what we have in the candidates for mains, alts, potentials.
Yeah, for sure. For the first time in a long time, we're actually considering other roles as well, which is new. So let's start it off really quick with warrior as a class. Now, first of all, do you have any strong feelings on warrior?
No, I mean, the strongest feeling for warrior that I have is I'm not gonna touch it because I don't like any of the specs so far. I'm waiting for something to happen in order to at least think about it.
Exactly. So I'm gonna put all of the warrior specs in under observation right now. As a former main warrior, I feel like whatever they're doing to warrior right now is too sketchy. I don't like it. I don't vibe with this. So I'm kind of waiting to see what happens maybe in the next patch. But for now, it's under observation. Picking a main character in WoW is almost as important as picking a main job in life. And if that's back-end web development, then our sponsor for today is bringing you the best way to study and get ready for it. Boot.dev is a learning platform that will teach you Python and Go in a smart and unique way by making the entire experience as if you were playing an RPG game. Lessons are basically encounters that reward you with experience points, which will level your profile up. You'll have quests of all kinds that will push you through tougher days and work towards giving you achievements. And while you are learning either of these two languages or many other more, you can rank on their leaderboards with other people as well to compare progress and give you a sense of growth. And I'm not even going to talk about boss battles. The purpose of the boot.dev guys is to make learning super fun and interactive because, like anyone that has ever been in a school at any point in time knows, learning can be super tedious and boring, and making it the opposite is probably the best way to learn anything, if not the smartest way at least. I'm not a programmer of any kind, despite knowing basic C++ and C# coding, and even I was able to get a dozen or so levels and even more lessons done on my account to test the platform. And I'll be honest, I probably have around 100 lessons completed, and I would have never done this if it wasn't cool and fun. Not to mention that if your goal is to learn any of the programming lessons that these folks have on their platform, you will end up in a sweet position since back-end web developers were earning a median salary of over $160,000 in 2023 in the US alone, and the IT market just gets bigger every year. To get started, click our link in the description to get 25% off of your first subscription on their lessons with our coupon, be it for monthly type or the yearly one, whichever subscription you prefer, and this will also help support our channel as well. You can also just use our personal code Marcelian for the same discount on their website if you just find yourself already there. Thanks Boot.dev for sponsoring this video and being the few ones out there that really make learning fun. Next up, Rogue. I'm gonna touch on it quick because then you have a lot to say. I know you have a lot to say. Rogue for me would kind of be in a similar situation with Warrior. I've been a Rogue main as well, and I like Rogue main, but I feel like it's not hitting some notes for me just yet. But I know Marcelian has been playing a lot more recently.
Well, traditionally, I love Rogue. I always kind of played on and off for the longest time, and I have picked it up on the PTR, both Subtlety and Outlaw, and I loved both of them. Now, truth is, they have a lot of bugs still, and I don't know what the hell is happening. There's bugs with the tier sets, there are bugs with some of the abilities on both of the specs, but overall, the feeling for Outlaw is as bombastic and as fun, as explosive as it has ever been. Really, really nice, like in terms of having a potential main candidate, at least for Mythic Plus, so Outlaw definitely kind of goes there. Cool. And Subtlety retains that short window of burst due to Shadow Dance, and also the fact that it, at least in theory and in practicality sometimes when it's not bugging out, goes really good with the tier set bonus. Shadow Dance being active and more accessible to you as opposed to, I don't know, any other melee spec. So that Shadow Dance is basically your guarantee of winning streak not dropping. Really, really cool. It felt great. There's still problems with it, but for me, definitely a potential main. So it has to go.
Both of them. Okay.
Yeah, both of them. Not decided yet on which one is going to be. Assassination, I tried it. I don't really like like it. It's buggy as well. I think it still needs a lot of other stuff. And plus, because it's meta right now, that's another...
It's not a lot of incentive. I'm going to put it under observation right now.
Yeah,
similar
it's
to
fair.
Warrior. I think it might need something.
Yes, sir.
Now we go to Hunter. I don't know how much Hunter you've played.
No,
all right.
I mean, listen, I have been like really impressed by the marksmanship Hunter.
Yes.
And that could be, but I haven't played marksman in a long time, so I'm gonna let you have the stage for this one.
That's marksmanship is going through what some of the other specs have gone through in the War Within beta, where it actually has a lot of potential as a spec design. It's doing really great work with the simplest things that were just like there for marksmanship. When you take precise shots, streamline, and the new improved spotter's mark that kind of replaces your pet, they've actually baked those into a lot of synergies, into a lot of functionality with spells. You reduce your cooldown, you cast them quicker depending on how you use them. It's really cool, and it is a potential main candidate for me because I am thinking of playing some range DPS, and marksmanship would be the first on the line. As far as survival and beast mastery, I'll put survival mostly as an alt. I don't think I will main it, but if I main marksmanship, I'll definitely alt survival every now and again just for a little bit of fun, and probably beast mastery as well, although beast mastery is a little bit finicky right now. A lot of the bugs have been fixed as well, and now it's doing some crazy damage on the PTR, which probably other people might know. That's not really that impressive because that can always go away, but I feel like it needs a little bit more love. But I've always been a fan of just sending my beast to go mess shit up, so that's basically
send the beast to cause havoc all around.
Havoc, you say? Funny you should say that, man.
It was all planned, man.
Next on the list, Demon Hunter. Any strong feelings? Because I have some strong feelings.
I always vibe with Vengeance, to be honest. And if that was one of the tanks I really wanted to play, especially for Mythic Plus, but I haven't touched it. I know you played both of the specs, so once again, you take the stage and let the people know where it's.
Well, Vengeance is first on the list in this order right here that you see on the screen, and I will talk about it right now. I do have to say that normally I enjoy tanking a lot, to the point where I would like to normally main tank. It's just a little bit awkward to do it in raids because it's boring in raids, but it's really fun in Mythic Plus. But due to how the tuning in the War Within happened with the tanks, it just made it incredibly unfun. However, Vengeance is looking a little bit stronger, and you kind of have to be a little bit tanky as a tank, otherwise what am I doing? And with the kind of changes and some improvements to the hero talents, it feels like it has some options to play both Eldrachi and Felskard, and some recent announcements on Feed the Demon being a one-pointer right now, and a bunch of other changes kind of make it interesting. Feed the Demon is one of my personal favorite talents for Vengeance ever since it came out back in Legion when I used to play it, and I've been meaning to get back into Demon Hunter for about 2 years right now, and I didn't really have a chance.
About time, Flame, go ahead.
So it is a potential main candidate. Similar with Havoc, I think Havoc right now could potentially give enhancement a run for its money in terms of like how
I've
difficult.
seen you being excited about Havoc.
It's exciting,
it's happening.
and it's kind of complicated to get. You have like a 13 button opener, some weird stuff like that.
Man,
it gets nutty.
Come a long way, buddy.
From the BFA days, and it's really fun. Most importantly for Havoc, for me, is that it has build potential. It has build variety. I can run all sorts of builds with the changes to any means necessary going away. And again, in the recent developer notes, we've had some updates to Havoc as well, and its hero talent. So it's looking good. I just hope the Havoc is not nerfed into the ground in terms of damage. It's not doing tremendously big damage on PTR, but that you kind of have to have a little bit of damage with Havoc.
It's great.
Moving on to the Druid. I'll give you this one for now. Yeah, Druid, we have Bear first, Feral, and then Resto and Balance.
Okay, well, Bear was always like one of the go-to tanks for me all the time, because it's always like the best punch to have, especially in Mythic Plus. I will be focusing a lot on Mythic Plus and not so much on the raid this time around when talking about mains and alts. But for me, Feral was the biggest surprise, specifically after seeing you play it and then making the video, and me remembering my Feral days from back in Shadowlands and how much I loved the spec. And you highlighted some things that were really, really cool from back when I played, specifically the mobility and the speed of which you, and judging by the fact that this new Mythic Plus season will probably be very melee unfriendly, Feral is definitely a potential main for me, and you know, Guardian will definitely be an alt in that sense, but maybe you'll have other opinions on it. Feral, 100%. I'm thinking you're on the same page with
Feral
it.
is close.
Plus
to being
the damage.
The
damage is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's weird. Dude, I'm not surprised. Like nobody's. I think everybody's kind of like not talking about it.
Yeah, nobody's talking about this. Disclaim this. It's PTR.
Yeah, it's not gonna
it's nice to see it do those numbers, but you know, don't be too hyped, okay? Be hyped, but not too hyped.
Don't let your dreams become dreams.
Feral definitely potential.
Feral has been a potential main for me as well. It kind of dropped a little bit in terms of my overall ranking. It would have been at least an alt, so it's fine. We're gonna leave it as main for you. And Bear definitely would have been an alt for me.
See,
and
we're mix and match.
Yeah, alt with actually Resto Druid I'm gonna put in potential, and you're gonna know why later on. But Balanced Druid also an alt. If I ever main a Druid spec that's not balanced, I would always like to play balance a little bit on the side.
I'm not gonna talk about balance. It's fine.
Chicken. All right, Death Knight, your current main.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. Unfortunately, I don't like where the direction is going for Unholy. I'll start off with Blood because Blood is definitely an alt. I love tanking with Blood Decay. Frost Decay, I enjoyed playing it, but not as much as I enjoyed my Unholy. So I'm not sure where I could. What was the middle ground? Because I forgot. Like
potential.
Yeah, Frost could be a potential for me.
Okay.
Unholy will be a definite nope for me because I do not like the direction they're going with, specifically with the tier set, with the push to play Sand Lane, and I don't really vibe with what they're trying to do. So you want to play Sand Lane, but most of your gameplay will evolve around spamming Death Coils and Epidemic, which is kind of like unintuitive for Sand Lane, where you have to like play around Vampiric Strike. So it's really weird that they're doing this. I'm kind of vibing at this moment with what Tay said as well in a recent article regarding Unholy Decays. As much as I love the spec and how it works and, you know, all of its philosophy, I do feel it is time for this spec to undergo some serious changes under the hood and kind of like modernize it, bring it a little bit to the modern day of World of Warcraft, because this spec for real hasn't been changed since
If whoever is designing enhancement and marksmanship can take a look at Unholy, this could be one of the best specs in the game with how much flavor and that's where I think that also Frost Decay has a lot of potential in the way that the tier set works. And there were some data mine changes to Breath of Sindragosa that nobody has talked about, probably because they're not ready to implement them yet. But putting those in could alleviate a lot of the issues that a lot of people have been having with Breath of Sindragosa. And the tier set making it only affect Glacial Advance and Frost Strike can give you potential to play Shattered Frost. It could give you potential to Icy Death Torrent, like all of those talents, and maybe even pick Breath, although I would be surprised if you end up doing it. But that giving build diversity and some agency over like what talents you bring, it makes Frost a little bit more interesting. But I kind of agree with both Blood and Frost. That would probably be alt and potential for me as well.
Did you put Unholy nope for me?
Yes, Unholy. No, I'm not a big fan, and I did play Unholy, not as much as you, and it's very hard to separate myself from Death's Charge from Riders Apocalypse. As much as you want to sell Sand Lane, to me, spamming Death Coil is not it. Even though I do, in theory, I do like the fact that Unholy can have an option of funnel damage, which is really good in Mythic Plus.
Cleave would like one of the biggest issues for Unholy was cleave damage, and this Sand Lane push is like giga cleavy.
I'm talking about funnel, where you just take one target and just nuke
adding
it down.
to the funnel the cleave thing.
That would have made Unholy a really good Mythic Plus spec in terms of efficiency, in terms of always doing that.
It was already a really good Mythic Plus spec.
Moving on to Evoker.
Okay, for me it's nope, and nope. So you can go ahead and actually Augmentation is still on my main candidates for main candidates for mains, because that's how we talk. Yeah.
Okay.
I talked about this in a couple of other videos. I really want to play this spec because I love the idea of augmenting and being like sort of like a support spec. I just hate the slinky little lizard, and that's it. But I have tried to get over it. Still a struggle. I don't care if it's meta or not. I don't care how much it affects the balance of the game. I just feel the concept of a spec like Augmentation is really cool and something I vibe with a lot. So it is a main candidate for me. The other two specs, hell no.
Yeah,
you can have the stage for that.
I have gone a little bit deeper into testing Evoker on the PTR, and I've really enjoyed the Augmentation and Devastation playstyles. I like the way the rotation flows. I like how you use your cooldowns, the mobility of flying, swooping around. The Scale Commander is probably one of my favorite hero talents, period. Being able to like fly over the battleground and just burst everything down, that's really cool. But the aesthetic as well is also kind of a nope for me.
And goddamn gecko with
at
wings.
The very least, I will put Devastation in under observation, because I feel like if they make Flame Shaper be cool and bring Firestorm, which hasn't been played since Dragonflight Beta, it could be a cool alt spec spec, maybe, although it's probably not going to be a main anytime soon. And Preservation is probably going to be a nope for me. I've played Preservation. I feel like the initial version of it, when they added in Vaults, when I also mained it, was one of the coolest ones. It felt like it had infinite potential of combos and playstyles, and that in theory is really cool, but they kept dialing down because that was very hard to balance. And once again, we're sacrificing fun for balance, and Preservation is a good example of that, and I just don't vibe with it.
Yeah, fuck him. No way.
Paladin.
Paladin, all right. Well, Red Paladin is becoming a potential main candidate.
Okay.
There's a lot of reasoning for this. I could
Tell the people.
I could make a video all on its own about this.
Maybe you should. Maybe.
Yeah, probably. Maybe I will after the decision is made. Depends on what it is. But Red Paladin, first of all, even though it's nerfed right now on the PTR, so Imperial Hammer doesn't carry you. Let's just put it like that.
Finally.
You still do really great damage, and you still retain the properties of a Red Paladin. Very tanky. I would dare say mobile, and mobile not in the sense that you have your death not just your charger or whatever. It's just you still have that super range for Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm, and that's always great. So you don't really have to worry about too much. One of the I will mention this. One of the biggest problems for Season 2 is the fact that it has a lot of mechanics where you have to move out of a fight or out of a boss. And with Red Paladin, you don't really lose that much because you have so many range options, right? As opposed to other melees. That is one reason. The second reason is that it's a very reliable spec if I'm going to go like full hard on a Mythic Plus and try to push and you know, it's very reliable in all senses. Like it has a lot of utility, good damage, survivability, all that. And second, it gives me the option to go for a protection paladin when maybe sometimes we don't find you know, a tank or something, like when we want to just chill out or whatever. And maybe that translates into prot paladin as well, because both of us always love Prot Paladin, regardless of meta, regardless of what, all the changes. Like if you look into our past videos, there was always the same tanks, more or less, when we played them. And Prot Paladin was one of them. Apart from all of the mechanics and being like one of the most complete tanks in terms of its tools, I just love it. I love Avenger's Shield. I love all of the utility, the Blessing of Spell Warding, all of the heals, the playstyle. I love it. So I would put Red Paladin in main and Prot Paladin in alt.
All right.
Holy Paladin, I haven't touched it. I don't like it. I've said it a million times. Holy Paladin for me is no, but maybe...
I would put the Holy Paladin, since I've played it a little bit, in under observation. I feel like it's in a weird place. I kind of like juggling a lot of tools, but it feels like the devs don't know what they want to do with it. And you can actually feel that as a player as well, because at times you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to be doing here? And Holy Paladin is also an example of some of the issues with healers that we've been creeping up lately. Other content creators have also made this point as well on YouTube. You might find their videos. But the problem with healers in general is that your Holy Light doesn't really do anything. I think Holy Light heals for about 400 to 600k on live right now. If you look at the tooltip and you're looking at it, like, what's going on?
They used to be Paladin's biggest heal,
actually, it can crit for 1 million or 2, right? But that's because you have so many things going in behind the scenes that are buffing and increasing the power and so much. Yeah, it's a little bit too much, and it feels like there's just too much going on, and Holy Paladin is just not making it at the moment.
Nope.
But in terms of the holy classes, the next one is Priest.
I was waiting for this one. Okay, so we had reworks for both the healing specs. Okay, I'm gonna start off with which one is
Discipline
first?
is first, then Holy.
Okay, Discipline Priest. So initially the rework for Discipline Priest really put me off. I didn't like it at all, but they kind of came to their senses and adjusted a couple of things, and now Discipline is looking juicy once again.
Ooh, how juicy?
In terms of potential main, for sure. Because like for me, Discipline was always the go-to spec for healing in dungeons all of the time. I absolutely love the mechanics. I love the reliability. Like I don't think you have like any more efficient healer to do like 5 main healing all the time. I don't see any other healer doing that. Not only that, but the fact that it does provide damage. It has a lot of like tools to handle problems. Granted, it is a proactive healer, so you do have to understand and know all of the mechanics of the dungeons and the bosses in the dungeons in order to prepare and ramp up your stuff, but it feels smooth once again. I really dig now the fact that even though Purge the Wicked is gone, you have a lot of damage from your Shadow Word Pain, and it kind of vibes a little bit more with the more voidy, shadowy part of the spec.
All right.
Uppies is really cool right now because you can move with it, and even though it's a slow movement, I don't know, it has a different vibe to it. It feels better because you won't be caught in a stupid ass mechanic. You can move with it. You have evangelism now. You can use in dungeons, and it's evangelism is web. So like all in all, it's a great healer to main for season for me, and it's probably gonna be up there. Holy Priest also. I'm not as convinced, so this is probably gonna be in the last section of the potential mains for me. Holy Priest was reworked, and the intentions are good. The implementation is not there, so they really want to get you to heal with Prayer of Healing.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff to push you, to motivate you for that. They really want you to also play around Renew, which I hate. I don't think that's the right idea, because that's a healing over time spell, and Holy does not do that. Holy is like big chunky boom, boom,
that's what's up.
Yeah, the spot heals are ridiculous, and they have like it still retains that identity. The fact that you have a capstone now that is used to be the old Dragonfly tier set where you had your play Renew on everybody, I don't like it. So if they manage to work out somehow Prayer of Healing to be actually good throughput wise, it would be a decent competition in terms of Mythic Plus. Still lacking mobility, still lacking kicks, still lacking Dispel Poison, still lacking a lot of the things, even compared to Discipline. But it's still, for me, I still love its fantasy being like reactive healer, so I have both the best of both worlds. So for me, it's potential main. And Shadow... Maybe you want to talk about
Shadow. I've played the Shadow more than any other ones. I think it's just under observation right now. It's in a weird situation, and it has been for me ever since it got reworked in Dragonflight. Not having an AoE resource spender ability feels very boring after a while. I could play it every now and again for fun, but it would get boring to just cast Devouring Plague all the time. Not to mention that as a DPS, you have some of the fewest tools in general to fill in the DPS needs when it comes to AoE CC. When it comes to interrupts, obviously you have the silence, but we know from other specs like Warlocks and Balanced Druids that having a long cooldown on your interrupt is not that great. And maybe the benefit would be that you bring in the Power Infusion, but so the other priest healer specs.
Bring your Power Infusion.
Yeah, there you go. If you need Power Infusion for whatever reason, you're better off getting a healer.
No Power Infusion from Marcelian.
But now we're getting to some of the juicy stuff. Ooh, Monk, baby.
Oh man. Okay. Well, listen. I have like leveled mine after seeing the video you made.
Yeah.
I put it onto PTR. I did a couple of plugins on the PTR. It's amazing. So Windwalker Monk is this one I'm talking about.
The first one, yeah.
Windwalker Monk feels amazing. Well, to be fair, we always love Windwalker Monk, regardless of its state in terms of performance and bugs and all that. But now, with the slicing winds, exactly what you said, man. I wish they would like implement more abilities from Plunderstorm, because
so good.
Slicing winds feels so good for Monk, and the damage is ridiculous, man.
It's really good damage.
Again, damage on PTR. I'm not gonna say too much. So put me down for Windwalker in main candidate. I'm not gonna say more because you played a lot more of it. You can like
for sure. But it's definitely one of the mainest of the mains candidates for me. It's top to number one with another one that's coming down the line. Obviously, pretty much all of my thoughts on Windwalker are in the Windwalker video. I haven't changed my mind ever since. I kind of like it. One thing that I didn't really go into the video as much is the skill expression of Windwalker. Is the closest I've gone to having the same skill expression that I have on Mage, where you have a lot of mobility, you have Transcendence instead of Blinks to kind of like dodge mechanics in a smart and creative way. If you place your spirit behind, you have the walking on air thing. I thought that was goofy on the beta when I played it, but actually playing it on live as well is so fun to actually get through. And it's the range of it being so short makes it so easy to reposition exactly where you want instead of like just having to go way too far.
It takes time to get used to, but once you do, it's gonna become like something you don't want to miss.
It's so good. Now, again, this is still PTR. We don't know exactly how it's gonna be on live in terms of tuning, in terms of builds, because that also is important. They're kind of constantly working on the hero talents. They're still not as cool as, let's say, Death Knight hero talents or Warlock hero talents, but they're getting there slowly but surely. But the gameplay is just has been peak since beta. And now we're talking about Brewmaster and Mistweaver, which I'm going to put both in potential alts. Brewmaster can be close to being a main as well, would be one of the tank contenders that I've been looking for. It just feels a little bit too weak, and it feels like it's just lacking a little bit. They've been addressing Brewmaster a little bit, but like kind of like kid gloves, just a smidge, just a little finger instead of actually going hard. And it's like, bro, you guys have some issues. Let's try to fix those issues. There's still not there yet, and I feel like if they do that, Brewmaster can easily become a potential main for me.
Oh, yeah.
Windwalker, Mistweaver, not Windwalker, is the most popular healer right now on PTR for some reason.
This
People
is
are
why
going
I
crazy.
don't want to touch it. I'm not, so for me, I want to talk about it.
By the way, I don't know when is the last time that you played Mistweaver, but did you know? Did you know that you now have a ranged sun kick?
Yeah, I heard about it.
It's not now in the PTR. It's been for the world for a while, but it's fun as fuck. Yeah. All right, Warlock. I don't know if you have strong thoughts. Okay,
Warlock, because I've never touched
Warlock. I would probably put Destro as potential just because it's kind of really stupid fun to do massive AoE. But in order for me to be able to main something like Destruction, I would need to have a tank that I can trust because Destro really only shines in very big pools. It's one of the specs similar to Unholy. Probably similar to Fire Mage, where if you pull like infinite, it might not be beaten AoE almost ever, which is why you see it in MDIs and stuff like that whenever they're doing TGPs or stuff where they can just do smaller keys and then just pull like crazy amounts of packs. You're always going to see Destro there, and that's really fun to have in the game. Affliction is under observation, although I kind of like the burst damage that Affliction has on the PTR right now in terms of AoE. When you put the Vile Taint and you go into your rotation, the problem is still there. Agony just drops before your Vile Taint comes off cooldown. It's terrible. Why can I consistently apply my Corruption in AoE with Seed of Corruption, but I cannot do that with Agony? I have to wait, or then for 4 seconds of no damage, I have to like tap, target, put Agony, and then if I just wait 4 seconds, I can just recast my AoE, but if I recast my AoE, the pack dies, and the next pack I don't have my... It's so stupid. It's so cool to do. I would hope that they would get rid of Malefic Rapture, but that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Demonology also under observation right now. It feels a little bit too passive for me. It feels kind of like Beast Mastery. It's cool. It does a lot of damage, but I don't feel like I'm interacting with my pets that much. I'm summoning them and they're doing their shit.
Is it becoming the BM hunter of Warlock?
I wouldn't say it's as simple to play as BM, but I don't feel like if it wasn't for Diabolist, where you just summon your big ass Pitlord that just blows everything up.
I love that.
Like outside of Diabolist, it just feels a little bit bland. I feel like whatever Soul Harvester could be doing for Demonology is doing way better for Affliction. So that's why Demonology is a little bit low. Now we're going into the Mage. Okay, so for Frost, the Mage has always been a potential alt for me. I will put it in alt together with Arcane. Arcane has potential to be a main, but not the way that they're doing it right now. I feel like it's still getting changes almost every other week on PTR. That has potential to go back because I kind of really don't want to move away from Mage. It's been one of the most funnest and surprising mains I've ever had, ever playing WoW. But what they're doing to Fire just makes it put it into...
They killed your boy!
Bro,
they killed him!
I know some people like it right now, but I feel like a lot of people just like it because it does more damage. They're like, oh, okay, that's so boring. The fact that... So Fire just feels right now like you're trying to run and somebody constantly trips you along the way. I don't understand why having fewer Fire Blast and Phoenix Flames is interesting for the developers to make the spec that way, and I'm very salty about it. I'm not gonna keep talking about it because I've said it too many times, but that's just how Fire is. From my current main, I am actually a main Fire, progressing on Ansarek right now. This is one of the worst feeling specs in the game in the next patch.
No, I'm sorry to hear, man. I know they butchered your boy, but you know,
it is what it is. It's not the first class that they've done, so it's a trend.
Nobody's safe, guys. Nobody's safe.
Okay, saving maybe the best for last, Shaman. Now I know you haven't played Shaman almost at all, and Enhancement has been winking at you for quite a while.
Yeah, man. If there is a spec that kind of like embodies everything that I love about playing a class in World of Warcraft, I think Enhancement has it. I mean, the package of Enhancement right now is like giga complete.
Yeah.
You have damage, utility, mobility, burst, AoE, single target, effects, fantasy, rotation, RNG, APM. Like I don't
Hero
know.
talents, build diversity.
It's such a complete spec. It's hard not to put it in like potential main category at least. I think my only drawback, like my only like fears, like to not go into it is because like if I do want to take serious like push in Mythic Plus and stuff, I really have to like start practicing it and invest in it. And I don't even have it like max level yet, so there's no more time. But it is there. I mean, at least if I'm not gonna have like time to like get the enhancement rolling, at least it's gonna be an alt for sure. Because for too many goddamn years, everybody's telling me, why don't you play enhancement, man? You should try enhancement, you're gonna have fun.
That is true.
It's probably gonna happen for sure. Elemental and Resto, not really my not that I'm not interested, but I haven't like really touched them, so that's maybe your field.
That's fine. Yeah, enhancement definitely a potential main candidate for me. Very much tied at the top with Windwalker right now for pretty much every reason that you've said. It feels like it's the enhancement that I've been waiting to play for a while. It has some minuses against Windwalker. I feel like Windwalker does some of the things a little bit better, but enhancement is definitely top tier. Just one thing that I'm afraid of is that they're gonna nerf it into the ground because it's been overperforming, and I don't really pick my mains based off of damage. But if it becomes like really bad in terms of damage, it's gonna feel like all of the shining
your fire
lights
mage at the beginning.
Yeah, kind of like that, right? Now I already went through that, and I kind of don't want to go through that again.
No.
Elemental is another potential main. It's one of the other casters that I could actually main against marksmanship as well. It's really fun. It's kind of like the same as enhancement in a way where you have,
but with range.
Yeah, it's just an enhancement at range. You have all the cool builds. You have all the cool utility. You have decent mobility for a caster. They've been reworking stuff. I feel like the reworks for Primordial Wave are a little bit better for enhancement, but I digress. And of course, Restoration is always going to be an alt for me because I love a healing, and
you always kind of played Restoration,
yeah,
Shaman.
it was my comfort healer of choice. I felt like I understand
it's your discipline priest.
Yeah, exactly.
For me,
it's been our arena healer for years whenever we played. So that's where that goes. But this is how the tier list is looking at the moment, with quite a few main contenders this time around.
Of course, yeah, because the candidates right now are looking better and better, and we had some surprises during this PTR cycle. This is like when we test all of these specs, we're gonna have like a couple of more weeks, and then we're gonna have like another video specifying the final decision
for sure,
and why, and you know what is the final decision for the mains and what is the final decision for the alts. Now, it was kind of like brief, but if you do want to know much more and get into detail on each and every spec, you can always join twitch.tv/Marcelian Online and catch Flame over there. Sometimes me in the chat as well, you know, answering questions and explaining specifics and more details on all of these specs. And if you're interested in Windwalker, since we have praised, both of us have praised it a lot, you can check a video that is popping off above our heads right now. Okay, see how cool Windwalker is right here on top of us. Click it or I'll come over and fuck you.